Welcome back to Global TV Talk Show. I'm based in California. Dr. Ken Lloyd is based in California, and very special guest today from Cologne, that's Cologne, in Germany, is Netta Louisa. Hello, welcome.
Hi Ed, hi Ken. Great to see you.
Same to
I'm happy to
you.
be here.
That's terrific. So you have been traveling and doing speaking roles lately, is that correct? And training, I guess, consulting.
Yes, exactly. So were different. So, for example, in June, I was attending a conference in Geneva. It was a summit for peace and transformation. And 3 weeks ago, I went to Portugal to speak there on a G100 event. G100 is this network where women and also men come together to support women to have to really work on eye level. Yeah, I've also been to London to attend a speaker workshop to improve my skills as well. And so there was some more travels. So I only want to mention the most important one. And as always, I'm still very active. I'm very active as to love and peace in companies and bringing more peace to this world.
Well, sounds great, Ken. What do you think?
I think it sounds wonderful. We need it everywhere, just around the globe and within so many countries. Uh, Love and peace needs somehow to prevail. I hope that it does, and the kinds of efforts that you're making, and that certainly help push the process, increase awareness, and have a real measurable impact on bringing that about. And I still wonder, how is it that humans have evolved over all these millions upon millions of years and it still can't get along? It's just so disappointing. And we just need advocates in action to take the kind of steps that Annette is specifically taking to help this world to get that message out. So on behalf of the world, thank you. Thank you so much, Annette.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's really also a question of how we have been raised. Because I think that, so I'm really convinced, so I know that peace starts inside. Peace always starts within me. And yes, I have to admit that I was raised in a family, and people were not always peaceful. And only some years ago, I found out that my parents had been influenced very much by traumatic experiences in World War II. So for me, this isn't an excuse. This has happened. It had happened to me. It had some influence on my life. The only thing that I can do, I can start today to change my thoughts, to change my attitude, and to start being peaceful inside and asking myself, how am I looking in the mirror in the morning? Is it with a grumpy face, or is it, oh, hello, good morning, Annette, another great day is going to come? And really the question, how do I behave when I am faced with things that do not go my way, or when I attack verbally? And if then I stay centered and peaceful and calm inside, that's the first step that I can take. And so everything starts within me and with myself. And so I wouldn't put the blame on anyone. I would always say now is the best time to start being more peaceful and to change the own life, because that's the only thing that I can do, that each of us can do. And yes, to always appreciate the moment. So, because this is the moment to really change something.
That's beautiful. Thank you for explaining that. So, to what extent, well, let me just say about me, I am at times uh, overwhelmed by details, and I don't like it. And it depresses me, and I don't like being depressed. It's not natural. But I find that I have to step mentally, find a space to gain perspective. And I've learned recently that it's talking to yourself. I mean, some people will call it prayer. It could be a prayer, but it works. So finding a way for calmness to seek guidance, to track guidance into what I need to do, and each time I employ that system, it's different. Uh, the ability or my quest is to ask a higher power for guidance on understanding what I cannot change and recognizing there are things that I can do to make some changes. And 10 minutes goes by or something, I brush my teeth or I make coffee or whatever, and aha, I'm going to find a graphic that's going to help me learn about this topic today. And I was going to display it instead of the California electrical system map. Uh, and I can't get the darn thing to work. And so I don't know where it went. So I really appreciate what you just shared, and hope you don't mind me sharing my bout with angst. And we're going to be joined by a friend here who probably doesn't want to speak, but we'll say hello to Dave. Okay. Okay. Hello, Dave. If you wish to come forward, we welcome you.
Good morning. How you doing?
Oh,
Good
good. Okay.
morning.
This is my
Fine.
friend Dave, and he happens to be a neighbor here in downtown San Diego. And he's departing for Spain, where he's going to be joined by his family. And that's where he lives most of the time, is in Spain. What's the town in Spain?
It's a little village on the Atlantic coast, El Puerto de Santa Maria. And if you recall Columbus's 3 ships, the Santa Maria actually sailed from there. So back in the
Well,
day.
that's historic.
So
Is
it's
there
very
a
historic.
museum there or from
No, they really
on
don't
this spot?
they don't publicize it that much. But you know, we have the classic little town square cathedral, very pleasant place. So pass by if you're in the area.
So is the story correct? Did he think he was going somewhere else, but he wound up discovering?
Correct. He was looking for actually India, the continent of India, for spices and silk and so forth. And I think he kind of went the wrong way, but I think in the end discovered much more wealth at the time. So
That's
for good or for bad, you know, on the historical context of what followed with inquisitions and so forth.
so. What was the tie-in? How was he connected to the Queen of Spain, who
Well, he
apparently funded?
actually, no, yeah, he actually had to wait until Isabel and Ferdinand reunified Spain in 1492. And then they could give him, you know, the big push to really expand Spain's borders and influence, which was really a golden century for them, the 16th century. So
Now, did religion have anything to do with that?
oh yeah, it was, you know, pushing Catholicism to the new continent, the new world. So
and taking and blocking more Muslim infiltration.
yeah, he didn't have anything to do with that, but you know, the Muslims were expelled from Cordoba. Cordoba was actually the center of the Muslim world for a while. I can't remember the exact century, but maybe around 900s or thousands for a time being. So my knowledge isn't really up to speed on that, but yeah, it was quite controversial. I mean, he expelled the Moors, as they were called, and also the Jewish people from Andalusia. That's where we are. Andalusia is the southern province of Spain, and it had a wonderful multicultural civilization, I would call it, with between the Moors and the Jews coexisting in Granada, Cordoba, Seville.
So I have
So,
to tell you that my mother told me that part of her side of the family used to be in Toledo.
okay,
Toledo.
yeah, that would be
Yeah. And
that
I
would
don't
be
know where,
another center.
I have no idea where they went from there. But I sort of have that kind of an international background, some Italian, some Greek, and
Mhm.
some of that. And God, I'm just a mongrel. But I like it. It's good. I know I've got Mediterranean skin tone, and so
Mhm.
I have a good tan most of the time.
No, so does several of my relatives and friends, because sometimes we go down to a city called Tarifa and we take a hydrofoil over to Tangier in Morocco for lunch and come back by 10 or 11 at night. So we're very, very close to the Maghreb, Northern Africa.
Isn't that interesting? Dave, tell us about you're retired now, professionally retired from a work in workplace safety things,
Mhm.
right? Okay. With us on the call here is Dr. Ken Lloyd, who lives in LA, and he's a writer, and he's going to talk about his new book a little bit. We're going to see the front cover of the new book, and has PhD in organizational development, industrial psychology, and other things that he'll talk more about. And also, Annetta Luisa is in right now in Germany in Cologne, we call it Cologne, and
Mhm.
she has been a friend and a guest on several of our shows. Her call to fame is uh, global teams, corporate global teams, and love and peace on the team.
Mhm.
Now, your background is more physical workplace safety
Correct.
rather than mental, which is what she's into.
Yeah, I mean, I know I don't want to take up more time, but I was just basically a practitioner. The career field is industrial hygiene. I was a certified industrial hygienist, which you need to accumulate 5 years of experience and pass an exam. And then I'm also a certified safety professional, CSP. And I had a master's degree in public health from San Diego State University's Graduate School of Public Health. And it was really a great career. It was basically going in, I worked with the Navy, I did consulting. I started up the safety program at Hewlett Packard's Barcelona plant for a time being. But I returned to the Navy, and that's what got me over to Spain. There's a Navy base in the city of Rota, R-O-T-A, which is by the city of Cadiz, if you look at the map of the Atlantic coast. And so it's basically workplace safety and health. My industrial hygiene focus was worker exposure assessments, noise, chemical vapors, welding fumes, physical dusts. We did a lot of ergonomics, both in the office and the industrial workplace. We did hospital safety, respiratory programs against tuberculosis and other infectious disease, waste anesthesia gases in surgical suites for the operating staff. So pretty much just giving the Navy assessments of their workplace liabilities to correct them before, say, OSHA came in or somebody really had debilitating illnesses. Asbestosis was a big fight to make sure people remove asbestos correctly. And that's about it. But, I tried to be a team player to the organization and keeping the workplace human resources healthy. And sometimes that's not always an easy bottom line argument to make. As long as people aren't getting sick, management may not see the need to maybe invest in ventilation systems or ergonomic assembly line improvements, which can be expensive.
Ken, in your background with the 18 years in that company that you worked for and was a client, did you run into this kind of a problem or situation?
Safety, well, of course, and it sounds like David really had quite a remarkable career, bringing safety to so many organizations and literally saving lives and keeping people healthier. Yeah, for managers to think, well, no one's sick, why do we have to do this? Yeah, but this can emerge a year or two later, even much later in their lives. So in the company as you said, that was a client that I ultimately joined, we had a major emphasis on safety. Now, in my field, people like to talk about kind of the mental side of safety, and that we focus on that. So people have a right to be open and talk and to be heard and not feel threatened at all. But physical safety is critical. And we had an eye on that and took action on that constantly. Very importantly, not only just by monitoring and having regular inspections by outside professionals, but by making sure the employees can come in at any time on any matter that they feel is generating a safety issue. And it would be more than just, oh, thank you very much, or we'll look into it. It's going to be reviewed, analyzed, investigated, and fixed. Even if it's not a problem now, but it could be. Let's be preemptive about it. So yes, we are very focused on maintaining a workspace that provided high levels of physical as well as psychological safety. I think it's not just important, and it's the right thing to do. It is only honest, fair, ethical. Yes, it's important, but it's more than that. It's more than just saying, hey, let's do this for the bottom line. No, we have people, they have lives, they have families, they have careers. We have to make sure that we're taking excellent care of them and preventing them from running into any of the kinds of, if you will, accidents or injuries, physical or mental, that can occur in the hours and hours that they spend on the job. So special thanks to David and to Annette for the safety emphasis that they've placed just across so many companies.
So,
no, not to interrupt,
yes,
but
go ahead.
that's his comment is just so true, and it would be such a perfect world because, I walk through workshops and you see the big 4-foot high letters, safety is job one, but if the workers read that and then have fear that a supervisor is going to really hold something against them for complaining or raising hell about something, or adding one more thing to their to-do list, the program's really doomed. And then you get workers just thinking, this company just spews out a bunch of BS. They tell us they care, but the actions always are going to speak louder than any words. And so I think walking the talk is the key element, and it's a big challenge, I'll admit, for a lot of companies, organizations.
So Annette, that's all about peace and love, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And it all starts with the leaders of the company, the CEOs or the company owners. If they have a mindset like, oh, I don't give a, about my workers, then the workers don't feel safe in this company. And now, and this time, at least in Germany and some other European countries, it's really difficult to find good and skilled workers. So if they don't feel appreciated, then they leave the company and they look for work in another place, because at present it's easy to find. In those times when it was really difficult to find something new, then it wasn't that easy for workers to leave a company. And my experience is really the same, because when I work in companies, very often they also in near the bureaus, the offices, they also have these kind of signs. We work hand in hand, and the customers are the most important people to satisfy their needs. It's so important. But if it's not worth the paper it's printed on, then this will not settle into the mindset of all the employees. But when I have really a CEO or a company owner who really cares about his or her people and ask them, how are you doing? What is it that we can improve? Which ideas do you have to be of even more service to the customers? How can we improve the performance of our team? Then that's a completely other atmosphere. And then this company also increases their turnovers. And so it's not only that they do it for the employees, which in my opinion is really crucial, they also do it for themselves. And I would like to add another interesting aspect, because only yesterday evening I had been attending kind of a small conference, and there was a woman, and she was talking about the influence of a room to the outcome of the employees. And there are studies that show if people are really working in an environment where they feel good and where they have the impression that they can express their ideas and so on, then sales really and productivity, it increased like this. And so it's all about caring for each other and taking everybody as on the same level. And there's no difference only because someone is driving a big car and getting a lot of money. He is not, his or her worth is not more than the one from an employee coming to the company on a bicycle.
Well, yeah, I have to say that Dave rode his bicycle to work.
I'm riding with my bicycle as well, so it's not quantifying because I do it as environmental aspects, but I think you know what I mean.
And you took the ferry, right?
Yeah.
Here in San Diego, there's a U.S. Navy base just across the water, and there's a ferry that goes back and forth all the time. And he used to get on before 8 a.m. because it was free, right?
Correct. The commuter. They try to encourage people to ditch the car. It's great. I think you've
Okay.
taken the ferry over there when you get up and have a cup of coffee and come back. You've done it once or twice.
I did that, yeah. And but we haven't done the ferry in a long time. That's a good idea. We should do that.
I'm going to
Well,
leave 2 tickets for you that I don't need. You can get over there because it's pretty expensive now. It's $9.50 each way. So
oh my God,
yeah.
I remember when it was 5.
What's okay? I'll drop them off at the desk. Enough of that.
Thank you, Ken. Please talk about yourself, your brand, and particularly now that you're a month away or so from launching this new book.
Sure.
First
Thank
of all, talk about the predecessor and what and why, Jerks at Work and all of that.
That's way back now. Jerks at Work. Basically, I had a newspaper column that ran for 20 years in a bunch of different papers. I was syndicated by the New York Times Syndicate for 10 of those years. So I'd get letters from people who are working in various jobs all over the US and Canada. And the theme was so interesting is that they work with people that the subtitle of my book, Jerks at Work, is how to deal with people problems and problem people. So a lot of it really focused on dealing with the difficult people in the workplace and the actions that they take, some of which actually dealt with safety, where people would come in, and write, my manager expects me to do X, Y, and Z. I really feel that this is a dangerous step for me to take and puts others at risk. And they write to me, what do I do about this? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that a person in an organization feels they have to write this to a column because they don't know where to go in their organization to deal with it. But frankly, there were a lot of questions about that. But that was the genesis of the book that I called Jerks at Work. My background is in organizational behavior, organizational development. I went to UC Berkeley, product of Berkeley in the 60s. So that tells you my hair was a lot longer then. And then went to UCLA for a master's and PhD in the org behavior field, and started in consulting and part-time teaching in the MBA program over at UCLA, and started writing books on various people-related topics at work because that's my hobby. I greatly enjoy writing. I'll write anything. And when I was in high school, my sister used to say, "You have a magic typewriter." Okay, that shows what we had back then. And so I did 15 years ago. Very nice folks over at Wiley Publishing asked me to do a book on performance appraisals, which I was glad to do. And they said, will you include phrases in it so that managers can write in the various areas of performance? So it had over 3,000 phrases that ran anywhere from exceptional to needs improvement. And what can you say? Not that you need to use these phrases directly, but they'll help kind of shape the writing that a manager would do in putting in this kind of assessment. Well, in 15 years, performance appraisals, thank goodness, have greatly changed. They're more forward focused now, focus on employee training, growth, career development. It's not this annual once a year ritual that gets everybody annoyed because they're so outdated. I don't want to get feedback that I did something well or poorly 6 months ago. So it's replaced with more frequent appraisals and with something called continuous feedback, which is regular meetings between managers and their individual employees, whether it's once a week or once every 2 weeks, more commonly. And it's not saying, here's what you did, here's what you need to do, but these are open two-way discussions, two-way communication, a lot of coaching involved. And the idea is to help employees build, learn, grow, develop their careers. And if there is an area that needs improvement, it's working with them. It's not, aha, caught you doing something wrong. That's not it at all. But again, it's based on respect. It's based on trust, just a very different kind of approach. So I added the phrases. We're now up to 3,300 phrases. And I think my wife noticed that when you start writing that many phrases, you start to talk that way. Well, how was dinner tonight? Dinner was excellent, served the purpose well. No, stop. How was dinner? Okay, hold on. Let me talk like a human now. But it was a fun book to write. It's coming out on December 17th. And it's performance appraisals and phrases for dummies. And it was like anything that I write. I enjoyed writing it. I like the challenge of that. To me, the so-called classic blank page. Oh, great! And I'm thinking about it. I might be thinking about it. I might wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, but that's part of the fun of this. So yeah, thank you. That's coming out soon to a bookstore near you, online or in the neighborhood.
And now, push the button.
Oh yeah, needs improvement on technical skills.
Me too.
Should understand. There we go. And there. Okay.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And I think they put the red in. That's kind of the new thing, that a lot of black and yellow, obviously, on their colors. And then this is the you'll see up there, it says second edition. So the phrases, employee reviews to build performance, and then building employee growth and success. It's that forward focus. I don't know if the back cover will show up. No, I can just make it bigger. But the back kind of has a little bit more detail about the contents. The contents of the book.
Yeah, it looks great. And I love the portrayal of ladders.
Yeah, I kind of like that visual as well. People advancing. I always look at that as more than advancing your career. There's so much more as we advance in life. Our learning, our growth, our development. We're taking our lives and not just our careers, our lives to higher levels. And boy, if safety doesn't fit into that, again, the book clearly has a section on safety and what steps can be taken, and looking at individual safety that employees are displaying on the job, because that is an area that is worthy of an appraisal and some coaching and guidance.
So I like how it says in the middle, build performance through employee reviews, as if it's critical to success.
Yeah, it's very important. Our employees learn, we all learn through feedback, but that's very different from once a year criticism. Feedback that's designed to help us learn and grow and develop is very different. And it does affect our motivation, our drive, our interest in our work, and ultimately our performance. And if I'm getting some training and guidance, my performance is going to get better. I'm going to do my job better. So employee reviews, when used properly and correctly with this kind of focus, can help in that regard as well.
How many pages is it?
I don't know. Let me see. The first edition was 300 and some odd. I would bet in that range. It includes 2 online chapters that have been that I added to the book, and they preferred to put those online. So I would say it'll still be in the range of 300 pages.
Yeah, so this kind of thing is visual, so you really can't do an audio book on this, can you?
No, I don't think so. I don't think someone wants to hear me read 3,300 phrases. No, that in that sense, it's more of a reference book. I mean, the first part of the book really talks about what are these new appraisals, how do they work, what are the advantages, what are the benefits, how do you prepare for them, how do you conduct them? All that is quite narrative. And then, you know, the phrase part is literally a listing of phrases, as I said, from exceptional to needs improvement.
Well, this is just great. Thank you for sharing that information. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I
Yeah.
wish I could take it down, but I don't know. No, I'm kidding you.
That's funny. Okay, let's talk about hypos, high-performing people. So, Annette, hypos in Germany is probably the same as it is anywhere else, right? But why don't you just describe how to communicate with a hypo as opposed to communicating with me?
I would distinguish between, let's say, two facts. So one is that high performers sometimes have difficulty with feedback, because sometimes they have the feeling that they are criticized, even if it's only a feedback. So it's important to really, there are some feedback rules, to stick to the feedback rules. And the most important thing always is to have a connection, what I call from heart to heart. So that it's not that I'm talking with my brain to the other person, but that I can really feel the enthusiasm of a high performer, and that what he or she really intends to do, and he or she wants to do the best for the company, even though sometimes it's possible that it's not only the best, but sometimes they are really kind of a little bit ahead of yeah, what is really good. And at the same time, it's if they are kind of criticized in a too harsh way, then it's possible that they will stop kind of doing this great work that they do. So yeah, it's really important to also give them appreciation and acknowledgement every time that they have achieved something. And it's also very important when a leader approaches them, for example, with a new task, to also make clear in which direction this task should go, in if this direction is intended. If not, then a high performer can be a very good person if the leader just says, oh, we need a new idea, you have all the freedom that you want to have, then this can be amazing. But sometimes it's really kind of too great, like kind of going to the moon when they should only go from the United States to Europe, for example. And this is what I mean sometimes, to make clear that the mission is maybe to improve something, but not to reach to the moon, but to go to Europe, if you know what I mean with this picture.
So a high performer, a hypo, is an ego-driven person, probably much more than the average person, and actually would likely thrive on recognition.
I wouldn't call them as ego-driven, because it's also possible that they have a mission or a vision, that they really want to, for example, if they are driven by the love for the environment, yes, then it's not their ego, but they really want to change something for which is environmentally friendly. And then they can still be high performers, and thinking much more about the environment instead of themselves. So I really wouldn't say high performers are always looking at their ego side.
So would you think that high performers, hypos, are extroverts versus introverts, or maybe it doesn't matter?
I think it depends also on the task. No, high performers can also be these people. So for example, if you have something which has to do with, let's say, calculation, yeah, they can work very in a very intense way on this task without being extrovert. So I think there doesn't have to be a connection. I would only say that they are kind of, they have a force inside themselves, may it be from the ego or from another source, that really wants them to be above the average level. And so, for example, I've just been talking to my oldest son, and he is always somebody who wants to achieve another level. Yes, and so he just told me, "Oh, Mom, sometimes it's so difficult for me to people who don't understand me because they are on another level." And it's not judgmental, but he only realizes that for him, it's important that people can follow his thoughts. And sometimes his thoughts are so quick that I as well sometimes have difficulties in following him. And so, yeah, it's difficult to say. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't put them into kind of in a category. For me, it's really that those are people who want to be above the average with every good and bad that is involved.
Dave, what do you think of that?
No, I think she's obviously got the experience. I'm not at a level of her, what she's describing about her son, but I know what she's talking about when you meet these people and you can just tell they're a step apart, somebody special. And I kind of just try to absorb as much as I can. But yeah, their thought processes are definitely different. And that's where you have the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and these people really can change the world. I mean.
Interesting. Yeah. Dr. Ken?
Yeah, I think both points here that have been made are very good. I like the idea of that these are special people. I think as managers, we also want to find what may be special in our employees to make sure that as managers, we're helping to place them in an environment in which they can be as successful as they want to be. Some are driven more. We're talking introvert, extrovert a minute ago, and I may have just an introverted individual, and I want him on the sales team, okay? That person, he or she is not going to be a star more than likely. It's not a great role for people who are not particularly other-oriented, a little bit more outgoing, looking at the world through that kind of mindset. But there may be a position the extroversion is not really all that important. And maybe as a coder for the company, or perhaps doing some work in finance, financial analysis, market research, where that person can truly be a superstar. And the idea is I want to try to match people with work, assignments, tasks, and sources of, if you will, recognition and output that are satisfying to them. What motivates my employees? And if I can structure the job to meet their motivations, then they will work that much harder to fulfill those needs and maybe get themselves into that superstar range. But I have to make sure that I'm truly understanding my employees as individuals, their needs, their drives, their motivations, their goals, their hopes, or aspirations. And if I do that properly, I may discover some superstars, because this person, they're really kind of average. They're just not in the right job that really energizes them. We've all been on projects that we probably were not as stellar as we were on some other projects, in part just because of the nature of the project itself. We didn't change. We still have whatever drives are within us, but setting the environment properly can really help to draw that out. So we want to be very aware of that. And we don't want to just say, oh, that person's a low achiever. Well, wait a minute, what's going on there? What might I do to help this person, again, learn, grow, develop, be more successful? And maybe as managers, as leaders, if you will, we can do that.
So we're talking about high pose, high performers, exceptional producers, if you will. And how do you be a manager, a leader of those people and other people as well as high pose? And is it possible for one person to be mentally ambidextrous to some extent, Annette, to know what to do with hypos over here and not hypos over there. And is it possible to have a mix of those people, or do we keep them separate, Annette?
It's not only possible, in my opinion, that's really what counts. So I love the comparison with sports teams. So if you have in a sports teams only players that are average, how successful will the sports team be? And how successful will a sports team be if you have just one person being above average, and this person cannot kind of communicate with the other members of the teams? And in my opinion, this already gives the answer, because the work that a team coach or in sports or in a company as well has to do is to really integrate everyone on the team. And I'm just taking a sports team. Sometimes people who are above average, they learned they earn twice or three times as much as the other players. And then to really create an atmosphere that the other team players know that they are as important as the people, the person above average. And this is really a task where a manager has to appreciate each and everyone as he or she is for his or her qualities. Because how will the, let's say that the, in the sports team, the person who is above average is the one who makes all the goals, or in basketball, the baskets. So he can't win the game if he doesn't have teammates who pass him the balls. And so this is really what it's about in companies as well, that also high performance in companies, they need support from others. And for example, maybe they need some team members who will develop what they had been thinking, or which great ideas that they have. Because very often, if these great ideas are not put into practice, then they will kind of vanish in the air, and then all the work didn't make any sense. And this is really important for the manager to really do some team building with all the team members to explain each and every person their position, and make clear that every person, every position is as valuable as the other one.
You've just painted a Van Gogh. I mean, this is so descriptive of exactly what the situation is. I congratulate you. Thank you for
Thank you.
educating the audience out there, not just me. No, Ken, I'm out of words.
Yeah, the nice thing, in addition to having these high performing individuals, is two things. One is that they serve as a role model. And for the other members of the team, this high performing individual is doing things that help improve performance, individual performance. And others go, look how much this person's practicing. Look how carefully this person is listening. Look how this person takes feedback and actually works with it. In other words, maybe I can learn from some of that. So part of a learning process is through modeling, and having these individuals on the team with, as you said, possibly average players can help bring them, move them up a notch. Is it going to turn them into high performing individuals? Maybe, maybe not. Can it improve their performance when they see what these high performers do, and they're not just doing out of just randomly, but there are real concerted steps that they're taking to maintain that high performance. It can be contagious, and it can really help us. I also like Annette's use of the sports analogy, because managers today really should think of themselves as coaches, and we're in a coaching role. And coaches is very different from just being a manager, plan, organize, staff, control, direct management. Coaching is building your team, building their skills, and setting the stage not only for your high performers to continue at that level, but for others to build their performance as well. So I think the team analogy really ties in.
Yeah, and this aspect, I really would add that I have been mentioned, I have called them managers as well. I really prefer the word leader because this describes it much more. And for me, the difference between a leader and a manager is that a manager, he's managing tasks. So he's not looking about the people, he's more taking care of everything that has to be done. Whereas a leader is somebody that really cares about his people and cares about the well-being of the people, about the task as well. But he knows that when he puts people first and not tasks, then his employees will perform in a much better or higher way than if he only looks on tasks and results. And in the long run, this team will not perform as good as a team where the manager really takes care of his employees in a very personal and appreciative way.
Thank you for being on this program, all of you. This has really been informative, and I think the audience will just love this and share it and replay it. So it makes my job easier. Thank you for playing, Dave.
No, thanks for letting me in. This is a nice way to start the day. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks
So we
to all of
ended Dave and I and my Joanne and Dave's brother went over to a bar, the Kansas City Barbecue, Casey Barbecue, right around the corner from here. And it was where Tom Cruise originally filmed some scenes, and then they built a Hollywood set to do more things with it. And we had Red Trolley beer and onion rings.
Fried pickles, don't forget those.
Oh yeah,
Very,
right,
very
right,
American.
right. So, bon voyage to you, and let's stay in touch. And I welcome
Okay.
you to tune in from Spain.
No, thank you. You have some good ones coming up. I got them marked down.
Yeah, the really good one, especially the New York event.
Mhm.
Okay, so Annette, I'm going to send you an invitation to virtually attend the New York event. Ken will be on the program as well, and others. So I thank you, and I'll do some sketch editing on this thing and get it back to you later in my day today. It's now 9 o'clock, no, 10 o'clock, and so almost 10. And it's time for another cup of coffee for me. Ciao.
Thank you very much
Thanks to
for
all of
being
you.
here and have a nice day wherever you are.
Thank you.
All of you.
Bye.
Be well.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.